That time of month again, end of month. We've got to cover all the stats, what we've seen over this December 2022, go over some local, hyper local, and national stats, and stay tuned for today's video. All right, I always like to start with local stats and move on. So when I'm talking numbers, I generally like to look at the Sarasota County single-family home market because it's the most stable and it's I find to be the best gauge of what's happening in the market over the long term. So sales are down 50.4%. Okay, cash sales are down 51.3%. Goes right along. I find that the cash sales decreases or increase go right alongside whatever the decrease in the actual closed sales are, which I find interesting. Prices are down 19% to about an average of $4.99 right now, compared to this time last year, 2021. Days to contract, 23 days. Just to put things into perspective again, a normal market, whatever that even means anymore, 6-month level of inventories is considered equilibrium, is 90 days to contract. So we're at 23 days to contract as we speak. Now the inventory is up just slightly. I think last month was 2.1 or 2.2. We're at 2.4, which again, equal market is 6 months. So it's still very, very low, still very much a seller's market. The luxury market, I'm going to give you 2 examples of recent luxury market sales. Because when you're looking at the local stats here, and I know I've said this before, but you really, when someone asks me, I guess I should backpedal. When someone asks me about the market, I do still have to say it depends, even for just Sarasota, because we have Sarasota mainland that touches the water or west of the trail, and then we have all the barrier islands. So they're all very different. And then we have new construction east, like Lakewood Ranch and all these other, sub-communities or areas. So it really does vary a lot. But generally right now, the luxury market, especially island side, is moving and shaking. We took a listing in Marina Bay. It sold in less than 24 hours. That's considered luxury because it's right around $2 million. Another sale, it was not my sale, but it was on Longboat Key. It was on the beach side. Sold for about 5.2% over asking in that 2 to 2.5 million range. So that's still really in demand. And I'm telling you, if you have shout out to my potential sellers here, because if you own a property on the beach, especially with a beach view, call your girl, because that's in really, really high demand, as are the bayside ones. Case in point, our Marina Bay that sold in less than 24 hours. The view always still sells. There's only so much view. There's only so much unobstructed view, so that you can't change. You can always change the interior. So I would love your business as an aside. Okay. So for the people that are in not the luxury market, which of course we work with, we have for an example, we have a property under $400,000, and it's in an area where there are a lot of those properties, and we're really struggling to sell that property. For you folks, we want to hear from you. You want to sell your properties. Coldwellbanker has a program called Real Vitalize, and what that means for you as an owner is you don't need to take money out of your pocket. Coldwellbanker actually pays for upgrades like landscaping, paint, cosmetic things, even staging, as long as it is within a certain percentage of the property's value. We have that to offer, and then the proceeds, it comes out of the proceeds at the sale to pay Coldwellbanker back. So it's something to consider. It's definitely something outside of the box that not every company even offers at all. I don't know who else even does that except for Coldwellbanker. So it's just something to think about when you're picking an agent and you're looking at all your options. Let's see, what else? Let's switch on to our local, hyper local market stats next. All right, let's go hyper focused back to Longboat. Since we looked at Longboat Key last month, too, and it'd be a direct comparison. All right, so median sales price is up 61.1% from this time last year. And this is why I said in one of the last videos, October is an amazing time to list, because why? We're out of September slump. October is sort of like this in between, especially with low inventory already. It's not quite the holidays. It's like a perfect little spot right there. And the stats agree with me. So, November 2022, this year's sales prices versus list priced was up, hello, from 95.51% last year to 97, almost 98% sales versus listing price this year compared to last. Again, October is an awesome time to list. It's pre-high season. You're not competing with all the seasonal people as well, as far as sellers. Okay. The days on the market, November 2022, 45 days, up only just about 5%, not that big of a deal, from 43 days the month prior, or the year prior. All right, so November 2022 listing opportunities were still higher for buyers, which should be a welcome change in the market for buyers. So we were not clamoring over all the same properties. We're really not seeing the multiple offers. Now, the one that sold, like I mentioned in the last clip, that sold for 5.2% higher than asking, I was not involved in that transaction, but most likely that tells you that there was multiple offers in that case. Okay, what else do we got? I just, notes, I gotta, you guys know I'm a note taker now. Okay, let's move on to national luxury kind of overview stats. Okay, so now nationally, it's kind of interesting because the low inventory and decline in sales is across the board in the country. So Florida's no extreme example by any means. There is more of a lull than a crash. So I'm hearing this just from a lot of sources. The Institute, which I'm a member of, for all of the agents who are certified luxury home marketing specialists, that's a mouthful, CLHMS. That was where I was in Denver, meeting all these fabulous agents, learning all this fabulous content. So we're not seeing the word crash come into play, just because they're not doing the 0% financing, zero down financing like there once was, which, by the way, stay tuned for my very personal video. Check it out on my YouTube. I'll dive into some of my own personal experience. So if you're curious about that, check that out too, as an aside. And the low inventory is just continuing to be a strong factor. So low inventory, builders have slowed or stopped building. So this is going to become an issue in 2023. It's going to be an interesting year, I'll tell you that. It's going to be very, very different than anything that I've seen in my 20-plus year career. Days on the market in the country are in their 20s. Now we're 23 days on average here for Sarasota County single-family homes. That was comparable. Pre-pandemic, like what was the world like pre-COVID? It's hard to remember. Pre-pandemic, it was like 50 to 60 days on the market. And like I keep saying, 90 days to contract is fairly normal. You remember listing your house, people that have done this many times, and doing like a 6-month or even a year contract. We used to do year-long contracts with the $1 million+ market, a year. Now it's been 6 months, and some people took 90 days, but we're moving all back to normal, folks. This is a good thing. And just remember, the markets are cyclical still. Here, it's very seasonal, although not as much over the last few years. That, we do see an influx of inventory coming up here in January, which we can anticipate January, February being pretty strong months, and then March, April, May being very strong closing months to look out for too. So that's anticipated. Homes valued over $1 million across the country have tripled since 2018, which is mostly driven by the affluent. Of course, they all want a piece of real estate or several pieces of real estate in their portfolios, among other assets like stocks and other retirement vehicles. It's always a safe, long-term investment. It can go up and down, but over the long term, that's going to be patient, know what you're doing, put enough money down, you know, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, sellers can't also expect to see that in 2023, more of a moderate increase depending on when they purchase, meaning, you know, moderate increases in their values is to be expected for your home. I don't know, my notes are not very clear. Moderate increases, not like this 30 and 40% increases. That's not normal. So we are coming back to normal, leveling off, and a much, much healthier market. Now, if we can just get the rates back down, I think everybody would be a lot happier. But there are ways around it, so definitely get with me if you have questions about that. You know, I think the important thing is, as I always say, real estate closings are happening every single day. You know, and you're going to have a need or not, and a time or not to buy or sell. And I think it's important that you consult with 1 or 2 or 3 realtors, get some referrals, you know, interview a couple agents and see who's a good fit for you and who you feel you're connected to the most and has your best interest at heart the most. And it's a relationship that, you know, you have to trust the person. They're an advisor, so to speak, for you. I would love to be your advisor if you're considering selling or purchasing in Sarasota, of course. And I really appreciate you guys watching the channel. I'm going to try to get creative this year and just keep up the 2 posts per week. And if you have any ideas too for us, certainly let us know. I know this was a mouthful. Lots of content in this video as we do every end of month wrap up, but thank you again for subscribing, and click the link below, shaylatwit.com.